All right. Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay. So this is quite a departure for you, this role. Can you talk about what attracted you to, especially this guy who's not the most sympathetic of guys?
I mean, I think in general, I'm always attracted to, like, if because there are so many, you read so many scripts and you can feel that there's a manipulation in the writing when everyone's looking for the audience's empathy and in the character, and like, I just find it so boring. And so it's kind of when you find a bit of writing where it's like, oh, the writer has not even vaguely attempted to get the audience's empathy. I think it's all on the actor and the performance to somehow make an unlikable person someone you can follow and someone you can sort of root for in one way or another. I think it's kind of a challenge, and I think that's one of the reasons I'm attracted to it.
Did you bring this character home with you? Because you wouldn't have been an easy guy to be around.
I mean, luckily I was, well, it was the longest shoot days I've ever had in my life, and so I didn't really do anything other than this. And then I went home. I was just living in a basement and basically slept for 6 hours and then went back to set again. Yeah, I mean, I basically didn't talk to anybody the entire time, so I have no idea if I brought it home or not.
So you were living in the apartment that you shot in the movie?
No, I was living in just this random basement apartment somewhere in Harlem.
And were the neighbours sort of shocked to see what's Robert Pattison doing in Harlem?
No, they just thought a weirdo was living downstairs who had come home at 6 a.m. but look with a hood on him and scuttle cockroach running back into the basement but never leave. The lights never come on.
So what kind of bank robber would you make? Do you think you'd be sort of cool and calm, or is it definitely not something you could pull off?
Yeah, no way. I mean, there's an interesting thing about I had no idea about this culture of bank robbing, which it's because big bank robbery is not really a thing anymore because it's just too difficult to get the money out of the bank. But these like low-level bank robberies where I had no idea this is a thing, but if you go into a bank and just ask for the money, if you say like, I'm robbing you, give me the money, the majority of banks have an insurance policy when they give you, probably shouldn't be saying this in
How to?
but they give you, I think it's like $6 or $7 and they'll just give you $7 and you can just walk out, and the jail sentence isn't that high either. Like, I think it's like 3 years or something. So you can go around and all these kids are robbing like hundreds of banks like this, exactly the same way they do in the movie, which is kind of crazy, with no gun or anything, just a note.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I know where I'll go after this interview. And also, your look in this movie sort of goes against the heartthrob image. Was that something that attracted you as well?
I don't know. I just think
that. You don't like that word, but you know what I mean.
I just think the older I get, I mean, it's just much. It's like it's almost more challenging to try and look like some kind of pretty boy afterwards. So I'm like, I'll just go the extreme opposite direction, and then no one judges you afterwards. But yeah, I think the stakes are very high if you're like, I'm playing. You know, if there are so many parts where you're supposed to be walking into a room and like people are like, oh, you're the good-looking guy, and like, you know, obviously it's very subjective, and so you try and avoid that situation.
How did you feel in Cannes, because you got a standing ovation, and I mean, it was such a fantastic reaction to this film. How did you feel standing there at that time?
I mean, obviously, I love Cannes so much. I mean, it's kind of, it's meant that every single time I've gone there, it means so much to me to get movies there, and it's the type of movies I want to make, and it's amazing. I mean, it's amazing having anything there. I mean, but the reaction to this, and especially with the journey of this film is so strange and so long, and I signed up because I saw a photograph, and I just knew from this photograph from their last movie, and I sent the Safdies an email saying, I know from this photograph we have to do something together. I'd never met them or seen anything they'd done, and there was no script or anything. I mean, to see from just that fortuitous viewing of a photograph of it getting into competition at Cannes, I was like, this is crazy. I should hire myself as a psychic.
And the music was obviously very important in this movie as well, and I wondered if you're still playing music.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I love the soundtrack in this. It's unbelievable. I remember when I first heard the Iggy Pop song at the end, and I was like, wow, that's just like a gift to have gotten. But yeah, I still play. I still play sometimes. Yeah.
Because you've always been a bit modest about your playing. Have you improved at all?
No, I think I've got a little bit worse. But yeah, no, I play sometimes. It's just the weird thing when you're not doing it for an end result. It's very difficult to kind of generate it. I mean, I used to play all the time because I was doing gigs all the time, and when you're not doing them, it's kind of like, it's just different thing. I'm not really the type of person who sits around and just writes in their bedroom and stuff. Not very emo.
Are you still getting accosted by Twilight fans, or have they grown up?
Sometimes. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I live a very strange life where like I kind of live in hiding a lot of the time. I mean, that's kind of one of the things about this movie. It's like that was my biggest fear, because the last time I shot in New York was Remember Me years ago. And it was just so crazy. I mean, there was like crowds everywhere and stuff, and paparazzi and things. I mean, every time I've gone to New York, it's been paparazzi. And I wanted to be in the Safdie's world, which is very like guerrilla style filmmaking on the street. And if there were a bunch of paparazzi following around, it would just be physically impossible. And so, I mean, I guess with just little makeup things and costume stuff, a lot of effort was put into just basically make an entire movie in disguise, which it's kind of fun. I mean, it was and kind of worked too. Like no one realized we were shooting a movie the entire time.
Because I remember seeing you trapped in the street in New York once, and I felt really sorry for you. Is there anything you miss about those particular sort of extreme days?
Not really. I'm definitely, the experiences were kind of incredible. I mean, like, however strange they were at the time, I remember just in terms of shooting stuff, like shooting Remember Me, I still can't say the title 7 years later. Shooting this tiny little scene with me and this little girl who's playing my sister in Central Park, and there was like 3,500 people watching this thing, surrounding the thing, and it's this tiny conversation scene. And it's just so weird. I mean, like, after making movies afterwards, like out in the middle of nowhere in Australia or doing these things where like it's just so funny that like kind of doing a tiny scene as if it's like a rock concert. And I think very few people will experience that.
Thank you.
Cheers.